I'm Dan Friedeberg. I am the CEO of Slatt Capital, and I'm fortunate enough today to be with my longtime friend and customer, Tenny Tsai, who is the Senior Managing Director from the San Jose, California office of Cushman Wakefield. Tenny, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. I look forward to have a chat with you today.
So today's dialogue is on the topic of foreign investments in the United States. Tenny has a long track record of representing clients internationally, acquiring and leasing property, particularly in California, but really throughout the entire country. My first question for you, Tenny, is, are there specific regions within the United States that foreign investors gravitate to?
Yes, definitely. I think when you mention about foreign investors, I guess I would like to kind of define two different types of foreign investors. One is people who actually 100% reside outside of the United States in their own homeland, but they just come here to do investment, but no intention to reside here. And the other will be people who's new immigrants, they're born and raised outside the United States, but they try to settle here in the United States. So those are different kind of foreign investor. But regardless, that usually they will be looking for location that has some relationship with their personal life, like they have family in a certain location, or there will be their business, they have operated some business in certain city, so they would like to have it close by. But in general, I would say that the population, let's use Chinese community as example. They like to have a community, the area, the region that has more of Asian population. So I would say in the coast city, both the East Coast or California and San Francisco Bay Area and Los Angeles probably is one of the most favored area, and Seattle as well.
My next question is, are there specific property types that foreign investors that are acquiring investment property tend to gravitate towards?
Yes, I would say number one will be office building. Although depends on the market, I personally will not totally recommend that will be the number one choices. But I think the reason is because that's the property type that they are most familiar with in their home country. It's most of it's office building, because as far as the retail, for example, they do not have shopping center type or big mall. They are all more urban street. So they cannot imagine they will make an investment in one or two stores. But the office building is the most common and where they come from. So they're familiar. So when they want to invest something they were familiar with. So I would say office building will be the first choice.
What's the opinion of multifamily among foreign investors? Kind of just big picture.
Yes. As far as the rental, that multifamily in Asia, the return is so low. And so most of the people buy it. It's more for their own occupancy. It's not that much of if you're just coming from outside foreign country, that would not be the first choice, because they're under impression the return is not only low in the beginning when you enter, but they don't really think about that will appreciate much over time. Of course, after that, if they get more experiences about the multifamily, they will. But initially, nobody really will look for that type of property. Because for example, in Taiwan, the return probably average 2%, for that type of property. So, it's not something, but, to me, that's probably one of the top investment type that I would invest. I think investors should really look into.
Are there any specific trade organizations that you are active in or that you would recommend for people wanting to specialize in foreign investment?
I started with a couple of my colleagues at Cushman Wakefield. It's called Asian Investment Advisor Group. to help people. But honestly, I was so busy with my business, I didn't really have a chance to grow that. But other than that, I think the trade organization, there were quite a few, but it's most of it geared toward to helping investors from China. When I say China, it's mainland China, not from Taiwan. Because most of the big money coming from China, they are all have a government state money in it. So they kind of coordinated by the general counsel here in United States to try to make introduction for them to try to invest something here. However, you know, the last maybe started 3 years ago, money from China really dried out because their regulation. So that trade organization, most of them is kind of dormant right now. But I think that, and as people getting more experience of doing the way around, you know, they probably will become active again. But right now, there's really not too many is active.
I think my last question is, do you have any advice for young brokers or younger people that are starting out in the real estate business that may want to specialize in representing foreign investors?
Yes, I think the advice for the young broker, for the foreign investor, obviously, if you have a language skill, that help, that's plus. But I did help one of my assistant who become quite good. He did not speak a word of English, I mean Chinese, but yet he knows how to listen to people. I think that's kind of number one. I think that you listen to what people need, what they're looking for, what they're afraid of. You know, the client, if you're a good listener, I think that's a great start. And don't try to just kind of present them with the property that you try to sell or try to lease, and because, you know, that may not fit what they're looking for. So I spend a lot of time usually to listen to them, to try to find out what's the client's priority. And once you did that, the rest of them, as soon as there's an opportunity, then there's a deal to be made. But in order to gain their trust, it takes time. And then sometime for you to have a courage to say no to the deal that you don't believe is the right deal for this particular client. When you do that, that they know you are the right broker for them. So I think a young broker, they often make mistake. They're eager to make deal, and I don't blame them. But you really need to thinking long terms, and so you need to set a goal. Say, find out what's their priority, what's their interest. So their interests become your goal, and you can help them to do that. Then I think there's whether you know the language or not, that you can be successful.
Well, thank you very much, Tenny. Appreciate the conversation, and to be continued.
Thank you very much, Dan. It has been a pleasure talking to you.